We are back with another fan casting video.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no...
Hello everybody and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac YouTube channel. I'm your host MrEliMac and we are back with part 7 of fan casting What If the MCU Was the DCCU. In today's episode we're going to be focusing on Superman, Tower of Babel, and Dr. Fate, the first two films of Phase 3. And it's really time to start getting into the nitty-gritty, and this sort of phase is the longer phase of them all, and I think it's the longest phase, I can't remember. But for some of these, with Tower of Babel, I'm only going to be focusing on, as you know, this series is very much focusing on the newer characters that are introduced. So for Superman Tower of Babel, because it's very much the Captain America Civil War analog, because I've mentioned a lot of the heroes already, we're not really going to be mentioning the heroes. And with Dr. Fate, because it is a new movie, we're going to be announcing the cast of sort of the main cast. So with all that out of the way, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. So we're starting off with Superman Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel is very much the Batman story where it's just like supervillains come together, or a supervillain finds Batman's plans to take out the Justice League, for lack of a better term. And very much, I'm very taking inspiration for this film from Justice League Doom, which had a version of the Legion of Doom in it. And this film is basically similar to how Captain America Civil War was Avengers 2.5. This film is very much Justice League 2.5, where it is the Justice League having to get off with these failsafe plans, those are what they're called, and it's very much the Legion of Doom as the main antagonists of the film. But also, this is the film where Lex Luthor is very much the central antagonist. He was sort of the central antagonist in the first one, but this is where he actually gets physical and all that. And Billy Zane is returning to play Lex Luthor, but I really wanted to mention Lex Luthor so you can see him in his evil, over here, evil Lex Luthor green suit that everyone knows, his armored suit. That way everyone can we can finally get to that moment and Lex Luthor can go to jail. And yeah, also in Superman Tower of Babel, we would see a Batman-Superman fight, because similar to how Captain America Civil War did Captain America versus Iron Man in that, I wanted to continue that, so we get that little thread as well. But now we're going over to the other members of the Legion of Doom, because Flash is in this movie. His evil analog will be Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, and Captain Cold will be played by Jamie Dornan. Jamie Dornan is an actor I very much enjoy. I think he is a great actor in a lot of the stuff he's in. I think I was first introduced to him in Once Upon a Time when he was the Huntsman, and I've really based a lot of my critiques on him from that show, and he did a really great job in that show, and I think he could do a really great job playing Captain Cold. Also, he's around the same age as Ryan Gosling, so I think that very much works with him playing Captain Cold. So Jamie Dornan is Captain Cold. Next up, because Black Canary is in it, her villainous analog in the Legion of Doom will be Sandra Woo-Son, aka Lady Shiva, and Lady Shiva will be played by Zhang Ziyi, and she's very famous for being in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Rush Hour 2, and Memoirs of a Geisha. She's a really great actress, and I really wanted her to play Lady Shiva. I've actually had her in mind to play Lady Shiva for a long time, and I very much look at her as an actress that could bring a lot of weight and a lot of depth to the character of Lady Shiva. And Lady Shiva is even a character when we're looking at her with Black Canary. Black Canary around this time still is a newer hero, but Lady Shiva is someone that has been a thorn in her side throughout the time. Like, Black Canary had been around for a year, and so Lady Shiva for that year had been a thorn in her side. So joining the Legion of Doom made sense to be a part of this. Also, Lady Shiva would have a history with Batman, and Batman's in this film as well. So Lady Zhang Ziyi is Lady Shiva. Next up is Merlin, the Dark Archer. So it was very obvious Green Arrow's in this film as well, so having his evil analog of Merlin in this made sense to me. I'm not calling him Malcolm Merlin, I'm just calling him Merlin, because I think calling him Malcolm Merlin is very much an Arrow thing, an Arrowverse thing, so I really much wanted to just say his name is Merlin, people call him the Dark Archer, and that's it. We're not going to go further into his backstory. And for the Dark Archer, I cast Eric Bana. Eric Bana is an actor I very much enjoy whenever he's in something. I even enjoyed him in the Hulk movie in 2003, and so I would like for him to play sort of the villainous side of Green Arrow, and I would even hint that the Dark Archer and Green Arrow have a past with each other of maybe the Dark Archer was someone that trained Green Arrow for everything, and so whenever we get the Dark Archer Green Arrow fight, it's very even out because Dark Archer knows what everything that Oliver Queen is doing because they have that history with each other. And so I thought Eric Bana would do a really great job on playing someone that has a history with Green Arrow. So Eric Bana is the Dark Archer. Next up is Red Volcano, who would be another android that was created by Tio Morrow, and this incarnation that we're seeing is a version that is created by Lex Luthor, who found the plans and just recreated Red Volcano, and that's why Red Volcano as an android is just following Lex Luthor. It's because, oh, you're my creator, I'm just gonna do what you're telling me to do, and you want me to go after basically my brother? Cool, I'll do that. And so for Red Volcano, I cast Sam Witwer. Sam Witwer is an actor I love very much. He does an amazing job as the voice of Darth Maul. He did great in Smallville, in my opinion, and I just think it would be cool to see him play this character that's very much just an evil, like, fire-based robot against Red Tornado. And I think Sam Witwer would have a lot of fun, maybe adding a little bit more depth and a little bit more emotion to this robot, synthezoid, android figure. So Sam Witwer is Red Volcano. Next up is a very obscure character because Martian Manhunter didn't have a lot of antagonists, and his main antagonist I wanted to save for a future project, so I'm going to save that in my back pocket. So his antagonist that is joining this Legion of Doom is Michael Miller, aka Human Flame, and I very much wanted a human villain for Martian Manhunter because I think that having a human antagonist to the Martian makes a lot of sense, and especially with Lex Luthor being a human villain to Superman, I think it just adds a connection between them. And I think also it just having the Human Flame play a character that's like, oh, I don't like you at all because you're an alien, I think that very much could add depth to the Human Flame, but also make him very much no, he's a villain, we don't need to explain any more than that, he's a villain. And so for Human Flame, I cast Ethan Suplee. Ethan Suplee being in My Name is Earl, Remember the Titans. He is a fun actor to see in roles like this, and also he is physically intimidating now. Like the picture I'm putting up there, he's an intimidating man, like when you look at him, and so I think he could do a really great job as Human Flame, and also someone that when they have to get a little physical with each other, I think he could do a really great job being a physical threat to Martian Manhunter just by looking at him. So Ethan Suplee is Human Flame. And the final casting I'm going to be talking about for the Tower of Babel, rounding out my Legion of Doom, is Dennis Ellis, aka Scorpio. Scorpio being a frequent antagonist to Steel, and that's something I really wanted to do, have a antagonist who is specific for Steel. Scorpio I don't really see with anyone else, like fighting anyone else. He's mainly just a Steel antagonist, and I wanted someone that could fill that role because very much I wanted the Legion of Doom to be people that could mainly face off against the heroes that have main threats against each other. Like, again, Captain Cold is mainly a Flash villain. Lady Shiva, though she has worked against Batman, she's also been someone that has worked against Black Canary, Dark Archer, Green Arrow. Like, the list goes on. And Scorpio was someone that very much was someone that mainly worked against Steel. And for Scorpio, I cast Taye Diggs. I wanted an actor that had experience, just like acting experience, and I wanted someone that you could believably see be someone that could go toe-to-toe with Mahershala Ali. And I think Taye Diggs is a really great actor. He carries a lot of experience with him, from television to movies to stage. And I think if you could have him go up against Mahershala Ali in the sense of just acting and in terms of physically getting into it with each other, I think Taye Diggs could very much hold his own against Mahershala Ali, and I think Taye Diggs should even take an obscure character like Scorpio and elevate him to a new height. So Taye Diggs is Scorpio, and that is it for Superman Tower of Babel. And now we move on to the last film I'm going to be talking about in this video, which is Dr. Fate. And for Dr. Fate, I decided to go different than the traditional route. Instead of doing a Kent Nelson or a Hector Hall or Enza Nelson, like any of the traditional characters, I decided to go for a character that was recently introduced in 2015. And especially around this time, I think that because he was introduced in 2015 and Dr. Fate would have been filming in 2015, I think if you would have gotten the writers of the film and the writers of the comic work together and be like, oh, hey, this is sort of a new character that we're introducing. These are some of the character points. And the first issue's coming out in 2015, and you can sort of start implementing some of that in the film. And so you could start working together like that. And so for Dr. Fate, I went with the version of Khalid Nassour, who is Dr. Fate. Again, he's the current Dr. Fate actually right now. And I think this way you can add some diversity in the universe. And also I think Khalid Nassour could be a very great entryway into this mystical realm that we're going in, because we haven't touched magic yet. And this is our way to introduce magic, and having Khalid, who is sort of a younger character, have him sort of play this younger character, getting used to all of this crazy stuff of magic, of the Lords of Order and Chaos. I think that's a great way to be a gateway, instead of having Kent Nelson, who sort of, whenever we see Kent Nelson, it's not one of those things of, oh, I'm sort of new to this. And whenever we see Kent Nelson, he's already been Dr. Fate for a while. So I think having Khalid as our main character is a great way to be a gateway and a way to introduce us all to the ideas of the Lords of Order and Chaos. So for Khalid Nassour, I cast Mina Massoud, and Mina Massoud had played Aladdin in the Aladdin film, and I think he is a great actor. I legitimately think he was great in Aladdin, and I think that he would be great as this younger character starting to get his footing as this Lord of Order and starting to be this magical person, this magical character. And I think it would be great to see Mina play the lead role in this type of superhero film. So Mina Massoud is Dr. Fate. Next up is Wotan, who is not the main antagonist of the film. Wotan is very much serving the Mordor role of, hey, I'm sort of in the area of order, but then I'm gonna slip into chaos as the film progresses. But again, he's not the main antagonist. I wanted to very much have that mentor figure that's not Kent Nelson. Kent Nelson would be referenced, but he's not Dr. Fate. And for Wotan, I cast Andrew Scott. Andrew Scott is a fantastic actor. Just watch him in Sherlock as Moriarty, and you know that he's great. Also, watch him in Fleabag. He's great in Fleabag as well. And I think Andrew Scott, putting him in a role like this, could get him a chance to spread his wings a little bit more in this type of world. And I think Andrew Scott could do a really great job. So Andrew Scott as Wotan. Next up is Shaya Halim, who is the main love interest for Khalid. And for Shaya, I cast Tara Ahmad. And I think she would do a really great job as Shaya Halim. And I want it very much to continue to add this type of diversity. And with Khalid as the main character, it adds this chance for diversity. And Shaya Halim, I think, is a really good love interest. And I think Tara Ahmad could do a really great job. So Tara Ahmad as Shaya Halim. Next up is Mohammed Nasser, who is the father of Khalid. And I cast Asif Mandvi, who played, I'm trying to remember if he was Mr. Aziz. I think he was the guy that owned the pizza shop in Spider-Man 2, and I've seen him in other stuff. I just can't remember what characters he played. I think he was in The Last Airbender, the bad version of the last Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I really enjoy him as an actor, I think he does a really great job in a lot of stuff. Sure, The Last Airbender is not the greatest example, but I thought he did a really good job in that film, and I think he would do a really great job playing the father figure of Mina Masood, and I really want to see Asif play roles in the superhero genre. So Asif Mandvi as Muhammad Nasser. And next up is Elizabeth Nasser, who is the mother of Khalid, which at first when I was casting and I saw her name, I was like, oh, okay, mom, gotta find someone that is around the same ethnicity as Mina Masood. And then when I did a little bit more research, I discovered, oh, she's a white person. And so I was like, okay, that changed everything on how I was casting this, because now that I saw, like, and also she's the niece of Kent Nelson, hence white, referencing Kent Nelson. And so when I discovered her ethnicity, I was like, okay, I gotta change how I was originally going to cast it. And so when I was looking for actresses around the same age as Asif who could play mother characters, I was like, oh, who do I cast? And then I saw Ashley Judd. And I was like, oh, Ashley Judd would actually do a really great job playing a mother figure. I think Ashley Judd is a really great actress, and she hasn't been able to play in a role like this. I think she was cast as Catwoman at one point in the 90s, and I think she might have done a really great job if they would have done the Catwoman movie in the 90s, recasting Michelle Pfeiffer to Ashley Judd. And I think Ashley Judd could play a very good maternal figure to Mina Masood, and I think she would do a really great job in this role. So Ashley Judd as Elizabeth Nasser. Next up is Bastet, who would be a little kitty cat in this film, because in the comics she was a little kitty cat in the comics, and so she is a goddess. She is someone that is sort of mentoring Khalid during this entire process, and for her I cast Parminder Nagra. Parminder is a really great actress. She is most known, she's probably, for the comic book nerds, she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where she played Ellen Nadir, and I think that a lot of people would know her from that role, and I think she did a really great job in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really did enjoy her character in the show, and I think she would do a really great job playing this sort of mentor figure. Sure, she is playing a goddess, and we'd mainly only see her as a voice character, but I think she would do a really great job playing this mentor-esque figure, trying to lead Khalid in what to do as a hero and someone in the mystic art. So Parminder Nagra as Bastet. Next up is Naboo, the helmet Naboo, because I would want Naboo to be in this film as sort of the voice in Khalid's head, because it's Dr. Fate. Naboo is the helmet, so we would need that. And for Naboo, I cast Ghassan Masood. Now, to be quite honest, I've only seen Ghassan in the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and though it was a small role, I think for the scene that he was in, he had a lot of presence to him, and I think Ghassan Masood would do a really great job sort of being the voice of Naboo, and maybe even seeing a quick scene with him when he was still around as a Lord of Order. I think Ghassan Masood would do a really great job being sort of this other mentor figure to Bastet. Maybe those two would be clashing at some points, but ultimately they would both want the best for Khalid, and the best to be have him be a Lord of Order. And I think Ghassan Masood could very much carry the presence of Naboo. So Ghassan Masood is Naboo. And next up, for our main antagonist of the film, Ian Karkull, who is very much a frequent antagonist to Dr. Fate, another member of the mystic arts, but more on the chaos side. And I think the actor that could do great for this is John Malkovich. I love John Malkovich, and I think he could bring a sort of craziness and chaoticness to this Lord of Chaos type character. And I think having John Malkovich being able to lean into the idea of being a Lord of Chaos would be very fun. And I think John Malkovich could do a great job being someone that is like, oh, I've been doing this longer than you have. I'm going to wreck everything, and I'm going to make sure that chaos reigns supreme. And I think John Malkovich is just a great actor, and I think he would have so much fun in this role. So John Malkovich is Ian Karkull. And that's it for this episode of What If the MCU was the DCCU fan casting series. Next week, I'm going to be jumping into Green Lantern Corps, Sinestro Corps War, and Shazam, which Shazam was very much my Spider-Man analog. hence why prior things. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining. Please, what were your thoughts on these fan castings? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you indifferent to them? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. And also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. But until then, I've been Mr. EliMac. You've been the audience, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.